Welcome to another night in the NBA. This is your 10-minute recap of the last night of NBA hoops. A rather calm night with only 5 games on the docket, but I want to start us off with the main topic, which may surprise some people, but to me it's the Brooklyn Nets. I want to talk about Brooklyn because since they have switched to head coach Kevin Ollie, I've been really impressed. I think they've done a good job. People were giving them a hard time after the first 2 games, which they got blown out under Kevin Ollie, but now they are 3-3 with the new head coach, including wins in 3 of their last 4 games. And it's really important because 2 of them came against the Atlanta Hawks, including last night, where they have beaten them and really closed the gap in the play-in race in the Eastern Conference. Because heading into the 2-game matchup with them, they were 4 games back of the final play-in spot, but are now just 2 games back after winning both. And yesterday they won 114-102, 38 points from Mikal Bridges, double-double for Nick Claxton, 12 and 13. Dennis Schroeder has 14 points and 8 assists, didn't shoot well but still had an impact, and Cam Johnson goes over 20 for the second straight game. But they hold the Atlanta Hawks to just about 30% from 3, and that's the huge thing that's changed under Kevin Ollie. This is a good defensive team, which it should have been all season, but it wasn't. For most of the season, this team wasn't all that good defensively, and people were asking why aren't they better and why specifically aren't they better on the defensive end of the floor. But since the All-Star break, the Brooklyn Nets are tied for 6th in the NBA in defensive rating at 107.7, tied with the Oklahoma City Thunder, by the way. And they are fantastic in terms of opponent points per game. They're holding teams to just over 102 points per game, which is elite in today's NBA. The average points per game is over 115, and they're holding teams to 102. They're really locking in on the defensive end of the floor. We heard, Kevin Ollie talk about it when he first got on. He's looking for hunters. If you're not a hunter, you're not going to play, and that's being proven true. It's huge for them. They have looked much, much better on the defensive end of the floor since Kevin Ollie took over, and the players clearly actually care and want to play for him, which is something you couldn't say under Jacque Vaughn. I've been very adamant against Jacque Vaughn basically since last year because of the way he treated Cam Thomas, who's currently out with an injury, so that's not huge in terms of what the Nets are doing right now. But overall, with his rotations and everything, Jacque Vaughn wasn't great, but it didn't seem like that to start the season. The Nets went 15-15 over the team's first 30 games, seemed like a solid playoff to play-in team, and you're like, okay, this is what you want. This is a pretty solid performance from Brooklyn. But after that Milwaukee game, the one where they sat all the guys, got a huge fine by the NBA, one of the most frustrating games I've seen as a fan, and after that point, the Brooklyn Nets went 6-18 over their next 24 games. All hope was lost, morale was crushed, because why did you do that? Why did you sit all your players in a game you could have won against the Bucks? It was a close game. 3 of their best players were sat after the first quarter, never went back in, and it was awful. And since that, they got what they deserved, and they were horrendous. But after that 50-point loss to the Celtics right before the All-Star break, Jacque Vaughn gets fired, Kevin Ollie gets in 3 of their last 4 games they would not have won under Jacque Vaughn. The defense is better, the morale is better. Even Mikal Bridges, who had struggled to start the year under Jacque Vaughn after being great at the end of last year, looks much more like that version of himself. So Kevin Ollie is doing a fantastic job with the Nets. All credit to him. And it's turning around in Brooklyn, which is a good sign. Without Trae Young in Atlanta, the Nets could legitimately steal the final play-in spot and have something positive to feel about how this season went. But now let's take a look at other action from around the NBA. So, in other action around the NBA, we did have 4 other games on the night. Not a ton, so we can dive a little deeper into each of them than we usually do. But let's just start off with the first one outside of Brooklyn, because Brooklyn game was an early game, and then you had a 5 o'clock Eastern game, which was Miami versus Utah. A game where Miami was missing some key players. Josh Richardson, Tyler Hero, and Kevin Love all out for the Heat. It doesn't matter. They win anyway, 126-120. I think they're 10-3 over their last 13 now. Miami is looking much better over the past month than they had the rest of the season, and they're picking it up like they always do. They'll probably look great in the playoffs once again because that's just what they do. 37 points and 7 assists for Jimmy Butler. They also get 18 from Caleb Martin on 56% from the field. Caleb Martin, after being the playoff hero last year, didn't look that good for most of this season, but has turned it around. He's looking very good as of late and looking like the guy they want to see. 23 for Bam Adebayo and 14 for Terry Rozier on above 50% as well. For Utah in the loss, they do get 25 from Lauri Markkanen and 31 4-4 from the rookie Keontae George. If you haven't been paying attention to Keontae, start doing that because he's been really good over the past few weeks. All right, we had a game that went to overtime that felt like both teams were trying to lose. Portland versus Memphis, a game of two teams, riddled with injuries and just not a great game across the board. 42% for the Blazers and 36% from the Grizzlies. Those are from the field, by the way, not from three. Those teams are not shooting well at all. 21-8 for Vince Williams for the Grizzlies, but a ton of awful turnovers down the stretch. And the Blazers do get 37-7 from Anthony Simons, as well as a double-double, 18-12 from Jabari Walker. But if you're looking for great basketball, this game was not really it. Second to last game of the night, we had Houston visiting Phoenix, and the Rockets steal a win in the Suns' home court. 34 for Jalen Green on over 50% from the field, 24-11 from Fred VanVleet, and 21-10 from Alperen Şengün. Really good team effort from the Rockets in taking this one in Phoenix. 30 points for Kevin Durant, 20-10 for Royce O'Neal. This one got kind of chippy. Bradley Beal got ejected, and then you had Devin Booker getting hurt and leaving the game. So a lot of stuff that didn't go well for Phoenix, but Houston takes the win. They haven't been great on the road, but they are good on the road in this one. And then the final game of the night is a big one, Lakers versus Nuggets, a Western Conference Finals rematch, and the game where LeBron James crossed the 40,000 point mark with a left-handed layup off of a spin move, which I don't know if that was the main way people thought he was going to do it, but he did. 40,000 points for LeBron James, and like when he broke the scoring record last year against the Thunder, the Lakers lost. 124-114, Denver takes this one. They kind of steal the show, ruin the show a little bit. 35-10-7 from Nikola Jokic, and then from Michael Porter Jr., you get 25-10 on 100% shooting. Great game for MPJ. Jamal Murray with 24-11. The Nuggets always pick it up against the Lakers. They beat them seemingly every time, and it's probably going to continue to be that way. It's an awful matchup for the Lakers, and the Nuggets just keep on winning it. It's not like the Lakers even played bad. 53% from the field, 41% from three. They get 26-9 from LeBron, 19-14 from Austin Reeves. I mean, I don't know what else you're really looking to get from your guys, but they still lose because Denver is just the better team, sadly. I know I'm a Lakers guy, but Denver's going to beat them pretty much every time. But those are the games for the night. Let me know your thoughts on the games that went down. But now let's just get into the next segment. This is the Moneyline Hotline, the place that keeps your bets from going cold. Getting into the bets for today, I wanted to start off with some of the success we've had lately with the best bets of the day. So trying to identify which is the best one, the best bang for your buck, according to the predictive model I've got. And we have hit the first four. We are 4 for 4 in terms of best bets of the day. And if you're doing this in a ladder style, your $10 would already be up over 75. If you started with 25, you'd already be up around 190. So really impressive start for the best bets of the day. And for today, March 3rd, it is going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder minus 180 versus the Suns, where you can turn your 76.15 into about 120. Another big jump for the best bet of the day, and you would have already you would have about 12 extra money by this point. So really good start for the best bets of the day, especially if the Thunder take down the Suns. But now let's get into into the rest of what we're looking at for the predictions for today, the model predictions for March 3rd. The best bet, like I said, the Thunder +5. They are classified as a clear favorite according to the model over Phoenix. And it could get even more extreme because Devin Booker, Yusuf Nurkic, Royce O'Neal, and Eric Gordon are all listed as questionable. Booker and O'Neal both went down with kind of like lower leg injuries yesterday, so I would think they will probably sit Booker out. They just don't want to put too much pressure on a guy, especially as you need him later in the season. You don't want to rush him back, so I think there's a decent chance Booker's out. Even if he's not, the Thunder should still win, and you could turn your $10 into $15.56, or if you're following along with the ladder, like I said, you could get up about 120. There are no predicted underdogs today. There is one game that could switch if Donovan Mitchell and Karis LeVert are out for the Cavs. The Knicks would be projected to win that game, and right now the Cavs are the favorites at the books, but I would expect if those guys are out, the odds would flip and it probably still wouldn't be an underdog. So today, not a good underdog pick, none that are predicted to win. In terms of the parlay, the safe parlay of the day, Pacers, Celtics, Magic, Mavs, and then the Cavs as the last one to win, which is +239. You could turn your $10 there into $34. Of course, with the Cavs, that's if Mitchell and LeVert play. Otherwise, you could throw the Knicks in there and you could probably get a similar level parlay in terms of the safe odds parlay for the day. And as I'm going to continue to tell you, hey, follow the Twitter at @themoney_line for the Money Hotline picks. If you want to get them as early as possible, they'll usually be out probably around 5 or 6 a.m. They're out early. So if you want to get the picks earlier on, follow the Twitter. All right, let's get into the top 5 players of the day according to me. Nikola Jokic comes in at number 1 with his performance in spoiling the Lakers' night. 35 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists on 64% from the field. Then you look at Jimmy Butler at number 2. Emo Jimmy coming in style. 37 points, 7 assists, and 63% from the field in the Heat's win over Utah. Jalen Green coming in at number 3 thanks to his heroic efforts in the Rockets' upset win at Phoenix. 34 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 threes, over 50% from the field. Mikal Bridges coming in at 4 with 38 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 steals on 54%. And then rounding out the top 5, we have Michael Porter Jr. Michael, I swing the rock occasionally Porter, who has 4 assists in this game. That's got to be a new record for MPJ. 25, 10, and 4 on 100% from the field. He was very good. Him, Jokic, and Murray all played a huge part in the Nuggets taking down the Lakers. But now let's get into the top play of the day, which, as you might expect because of its significance, is this LeBron shot to break 40,000 points, the first NBA player to break 40,000. But now let's get into the viewer submitted questions. For the viewer submitted question, I put up a community post every night after the games, or you can just comment down below on this video for a chance to get featured in the next one. But today we have one question coming from Prophecy9521, who asks, out of the two, who has the better guard skills? This is in reference to Victor Wembanyama and Chet Holmgren. It's a tough one because both of these guys, for their size, have some of the best guard skills for players this big we've ever seen. I think it's these two. It's Kevin Durant. It's Porzingis to some extent. But usually you just don't see 7-footers that have this kind of perimeter ability. But to me, it's Victor Wembanyama, and I'm not sure it's particularly close. Chet Holmgren isn't nutmegging anyone. He's not dribbling the ball through someone's legs. He's not really doing these step-back threes type stuff that Wemby's doing. So for me, I think Wemby has to be the pick for the more guard skilled player, because Chet, although he has the ability to shoot it really well, isn't really going to break you down with the handle as much as Wemby does, or do some of the just kind of the cerebral guard stuff and the passing that Wemby does too, because Wemby is probably the best passer on this Spurs team, which might speak more to the Spurs than it does to Chet Holmgren. But to me right now, Wemby is the more guard skilled-esque player. But don't forget to submit your questions on the community post or in this video for a chance to get featured in tomorrow's. But that's going to be it for today, for this night in the NBA. another night in the NBA. Hopefully you enjoyed. I love making these daily recaps, so hopefully you enjoy them. My favorite form of content. I'm always going to try to find a way to do it, so if you enjoy it, share it, like it, think about subscribing. I'm on the road to 13,000, but that's going to be it for me today. So have a good one, guys. That's it. Peace.